Hey guys, Red Eye Dingbat here, and I'm sorry, but this and the last episode of Minecraft 1.18 Hardcore, the audio got corrupted, but we do have the video. So, I have been for the last episode reading SCPs. The last episode we discovered SCP-004, the Rusty Door and the 12 Rusty Keys. Today, we are actually going to be going through the next few, which are all a little bit shorter, a little bit more punchy, a little bit more contained. So, if you're still with me, I thank you, I truly do, and I will get this issue sorted out for the next installment of Minecraft Hardcore 1.18 because I feel that this time I'm actually going to be really good. Okay, so without further ado, let's get on to the SCPs. Today we have, to begin with, SCP-005, the Skeleton Key. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures: SCP-005 poses no immediate risk in any direct sense. Even so, its unique functions require special measures to be taken to restrict access and manipulation of the object. Approval of at least one Level 4 personnel is required for the removal of the object from its containment area. Description: in appearance, SCP-005 resembles an ornate key, displaying the characteristics of a typical mass-produced key used in the 1920s. The key was discovered when a civilian used it to infiltrate a high-security facility. SCP-005 seems to have the unique ability to open any and all forms of lock. See Appendix A. Be they mechanical or digital, with relative ease. The origin of this ability has yet to be determined. Additional notes: SCP-005 may be used as a replacement for lost security passes, but only under the supervision of at least one Level 4 personnel. SCP-005 may not be used for vending machine repairs, opening lockers, or for any personnel's spare home key. Removal of the object from the compound will result in immediate termination. Now that right there is a bit of SCP humor. Essentially, people using safe SCPs or SCPs that aren't going to kill you for personal use. That's quite funny, actually. I like that. Now we're going on to Appendix A. While SCP-005 has been shown to be effective in removing almost any form of locking device, further experiments have shown that efforts to disguise the purpose or identity of a lock have proven at least somewhat successful in defeating SCP-005's ability. In approximately 50% of cases where a volunteer was not able to identify a locking device as such, SCP-005 was not successful in deactivating the device. Due to these results, SCP has been tentatively classified as sentient, and further tests are being run to determine its cognitive abilities. However, there are no results that show any traits that prevent it from being able to identify any particular locking device, only that the aforementioned device has been heavily concealed and disguised. That's actually quite fascinating. So it's essentially what it says. It's a skeleton key. It's a key that can open any lock, but it's sentient enough to know what a lock is supposed to look like, be it mechanical or digital. So if either it or in at least half of the times the people using it can't identify a lock as a lock, then it doesn't work. So that's actually quite nice. So it's a skeleton key that knows it's a skeleton key, essentially. So now we are going on to SCP-006, the Fountain of Youth. Under direct orders from the founder, access is limited to those with Overseer clearance. Overseer clearance granted. So essentially what we are in the SCP is the reader. We have every clearance in the world. We are an outside observer. We we have every single clearance imaginable most of the time. Okay? So, SCP-006, the Fountain of Youth. Object class, safe. Special containment procedures. Whereas the nature of SCP-006 does not warrant any extensive containment, a certain level of security is necessary regarding the object's existence and properties for obvious reasons. The following procedures are required not for personal safety, but to deny or hide knowledge of 006's effect from the personnel who interact with it. 1. All personnel interacting with SCP-006 in any physical way are required to wear modified Class 6 BNC suits. Before personnel are allowed to perform procedures, they must be briefed with material SCP-006-B or SCP-006-C. SCP-006-A briefing is the correct one and is restricted to only those with 005 clearance. That's the 005 Council that I talked about in my introduction to the SCP. To ensure personnel are wearing suits properly, they are to be submerged into a pool of water. Any air bubbles spotted signify a leak in the suit. 2. Procedures with SCP-006 are to be carried out under extreme surveillance. In case of contact with SCP-006, the commander in charge will announce Procedure 006-XI-12. Okay. I think that's supposed to be 11-12, or maybe it is XI-12, which the personnel have been briefed to believe to mean highly toxicity is present and they must evacuate. So essentially, if you do come into contact with the SCP-006, a procedure will be announced and people are to believe that this means that there is a high toxicity in the air and everybody must evacuate. 3. Any procedure in which liquid is acquired from SCP-006 must be provided by 3 005 level personnel. The liquid is to be transferred in a quad-sealed container and under armed guard. 4. If at any time personnel come into contact with SCP-006 or liquid from SCP-006, they are to be confined and terminated after sufficient studies are done. Due to the nature of SCP-006, the most effective termination method is incineration. Description: SCP-006 is a very small spring located 60 kilometers west of Astrakhan. Foundation Command was aware of its existence since the 19th century, but were unable to secure it until 1991 due to political reasons. On the spot of the spring, a chemical factory has been constructed as a disguise, with the majority of laborers under Foundation and/or Russian control. The liquid emitted from the spring has been chemically identified as simple mineral water in 1902, but has the unusual property of health. Ingesting the liquid produces the following properties in human beings: the ability to regain DNA damaged by sufficient duplication, heightened excitement of cellular duplication, vastly improved abilities in the repair of damaged tissues, and a frightening increase in the effectiveness of the human immune system. Upon testing the liquid on animal subjects, hostile bacteria and viral agents were destroyed immediately. Many reptiles and birds were unaffected, whilst higher primates experienced the same benefits as human. So, essentially, what they're saying is that this is the Fountain of Youth, the everlasting elixir. Okay? But it does it in a very human way, almost. it changes your biology to just make you maybe not immortal, but sort of like almost everlasting youth, you know, of the sense. So that is the SCP-006, and it is canonical that SCP-006 has been consumed by most, if not all, of the O5 Council. So, there's that. So now we're going on to SCP-007, the Abdominal Planet. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-007 is to be contained in a sealed room measuring 10 meters on each side. Room is to be furnished comfortably as a living area, along with whatever items are requested by blank, hereafter referred to as subject. Given that providing subject with requested items would not compromise security, subject is not allowed to leave the room and is to be detained with force if necessary. Description: SCP-007 is located within the cavity in the abdomen of subject. Subject is a Caucasian male, physically approximately 25 years of age. Subject claims to be 28 and 176 centimeters in height. Most of the subject's abdomen, muscles, skin, organs is absent, although subject does not appear to suffer because of this. Instead of normal flesh, a sphere composed of soil and water is present, although it does not actually come into contact with the subject's body at any point. The sphere appears to be, in most respects, a miniature near duplicate of the Earth, approximately 60 centimeters in diameter, although continental alignment is not present with that of any alignment known in Earth's history. The sphere has its own weather patterns and a negligible gravitational pull, in addition to microscopic organisms somewhat resembling those of modern-day Earth inhabiting it. 2 intelligent species have been observed, although contact and communication with either has yet to be made. Technology levels of the observed species must be checked at least once a week, and, as of blank, are approximately equal to that of 15th century Earth. So we're talking, what, the 1400s, that was sort of like, oh, I don't know, was that muskets yet? I think it might have been. It's gunpowder, um, telescopes, that sort of thing. Subject claims to be named blank, but no records of such a person can be found. Subject does not require food or water, and while he has been observed consuming both, what happens to such substances after being swallowed is unknown. Subject is intelligent. IQ has been measured at 128, which is above average, and amiable, and regards the planet in his abdomen as a minor curiosity about his body. Subject claims to experience no stress about his unusual condition. When questioned about the planet's origin, subject replies, I just woke up one day, and there it was. I don't have any idea how I got there. Subject has provided a social security number and a driving license number, and requested that they be checked against known records. When checked, it was discovered that neither had yet been allocated. Ooh. Dr. Blank has a weekly chess game with subject, during which the subject's mental health is evaluated. Dr. Blank reports the subject does not seem to mind the restricted living environment and has yet to attempt to escape or show signs of violence or mental illness, although has repeatedly requested a computer with internet connection. It is recommended that this is not to be provided, as it may be used to compromise security. Okay, so that was SCP-007. Essentially, A normal guy that just happens to have a planet in his stomach. No more, no less. That is what most of these early SCPs are, you know. Um, Especially the first, I would say the first 1,000 of them. They're going to be essentially curiosities. So now we are on to SCP-008, Zombie Plague. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-008 samples have been deemed Class 5 extreme biological hazards, and all related protocols apply. Incineration and irradiation measures will be deployed in the event of a political or military action which may result in the facility being dismantled, a power failure, or zero communications from the operatives or outside channels during any given 8-hour period. The quarantine period for operatives leaving the facility is 4 months. If a breach has occurred, incineration and irradiation measures will be deployed. It should be the policy of all G2 sites to not prepare an evacuation procedure. Description: SCP-008 is a complex prion, samples of which are stored in each of the known G2 sites. Research into SCP-008 is highly classified and primarily aimed at preventing research which may lead to the synthesis of SCP-008 in the distant future. Traits of the SCP-008 prion include 100% infectiousness, 100% lethality, transmission through exposed mucous membranes and all bodily fluid, not airborne, not waterborne. Symptoms of infection The symptoms of infection with SCP-008 manifest no more than 3 hours after exposure and include flu-like symptoms with high fever, plus severe dementia in later stages. Coma onset approximately 20 hours after first symptoms appear and 12 hours after noticeable dementia. Coma onset will be considered onset of death. A period of sporadic cellular necrosis occurs which comes to resemble gangrene. Surviving tissue assumes its original function and is highly resilient. Red blood cells greatly increase oxygen storage capacity, resulting in slower blood flow and increased muscle endurance and strength. Nervous and muscular systems are unaffected by total organ failure for several hours. Metabolism may decrease to extremely low levels, allowing subjects to survive for over 10 years without nutrition. High blood viscosity results in negligible blood flow from gunshot, puncture, and slashing injuries. Coordinated behavior, motor controls, and instinctive behavioral mechanisms are damaged, and cognitive abilities are severely retarded and erratic. Animals experience excessive brain necrosis and are inactive. Subjects can adapt to its damaged nervous system, but it's limited to basic physical activities, including standing up, balancing on 2 legs, walking, biting, grabbing, and crawling. Subjects will energetically move towards sights, sounds, and smells as it associates with living humans. Subjects will attempt to ingest living humans if physical contact is made. Neutralizing fully infected subjects requires significant cranial trauma. There is strong evidence to suggest that SCP-008 itself did not form naturally on Earth, since variants of similar complexity would have displaced much of the ecosystem. In 1959, a short collaborative effort with the USSR to locate G2 sites and eliminate SCP-008 was negotiated following their discovery. The status of SCP-008 in Russian custody since collaboration ended is unknown. Addendum 008-1. SCP-500 has been found to be able to completely cure SCP-008 even in the advanced stages of the disease. So essentially what we have here is a zombie virus. Okay? Every single symptom, every single description of it, trait, everything about it is zombie virus. And the Russians have it. And we don't know where it is, what they're doing with it, or what they're researching about it. Or at least that the SCP is telling us. Okay? So, let's see. Do we have time to do what we don't? We don't have time. And as I'm going through them canonically from 02 onwards, because 01 is going to be a special, I think, when I get to SCP, when I get to the 100th one of these. So after SCP-99, I will do one SCP-001 proposal. Okay. But other than that, I don't know what to talk about for the next minute or so. So I'm just going to start babbling. I will get the situation sorted for the audio next time. I don't know what happened this time, and I am sorry, but hey, you got to listen to me talk about SCPs, and I love the SCP Foundation. It's incredibly fascinating and incredibly insightful to the minds of these writers. And when we get into the later ones, you will see that some of them are absolutely insane and amazing in many, many ways. And yeah, I wish there was a series of the SCP, I honestly do. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, please do comment down below, because it does mean a lot. Make sure to like and subscribe as well, because why not? It's free, and you can always unsubscribe later, so you're not really missing anything out. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next episode with a hopefully fixed audio. But until then, bye.